Hello everyone and welcome to day 4 of our sew along. Today we'll be attaching the sleeves to the bodice. Pretty easy step, attaching the sleeves to the bodice. We've done that plenty of time. What's special about this pattern is these two beautiful sporty stripes on the sleeves. So I'll show you how I like to do mine. Remember on day 1 when we cut the fabric, we've already placed water-soluble double-sided tape. I got this from Wizardry Stitchery and Crafts and I love theirs. This is not gumming up my needles and I'm not afraid to put as much as I need to. So this also marked my placement for the stripes. And we obviously cut the strips. There should be 2 longer ones and 2 shorter ones, and I did not mark them, so I need to kind of measure them. Okay, so this is shorter and this is shorter. Okay, so the shorter ones go on the bottom, the longer ones go on the top of the sleeves. Because I'm using a cotton lycra that tends to kind of roll, I will be using more double-sided tape to hold it in place. I did press it, but as you can see, it doesn't really stay with the pressing. So what I will do is I'm going to place some double-sided tape in the center all the way from one end to the other, just one in the center. And I hope I got some scissors close by. Okay. I'm not working with the sleeves just yet. Don't peel the paper backing just yet. So I'm going to peel the paper backing off of this and then repress what I pressed with my iron. So I make sure that they stay in place. With some fabrics, pressing with the iron will be enough and they will stay in place. Unfortunately, with this cotton lycra, it did open back up, so I don't want to struggle. I'm here to give you some tips so you don't have to struggle. I don't like using pins to hold it in place because I sometimes find that pins make things a little wavy. I know not for everyone, so nothing against pins, but I prefer double-sided tape, as I call it, my helping hand, instead of pins. So I'll do one sleeve and show you how it looks like. Make sure you fold right where your press fold was. Okay, so this will be the wrong side, this will be the right side, and see, now I don't have to worry about it flipping on me. This is one of the long ones. Let's do one of the short ones now, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to press, I pressed it already before I started filming, and I'm going to add 1/2 inch double-sided tape in the center. And remove the backing. Then go ahead and press, do a little finger press where you have your machine pressed already. So you have kind of like that memory hem done, and now it's already there. So that is all I'm doing right now. Oops, here I went a little too far. It's okay because with double-sided tape you can release it and reattach it. I could see that it got a little too low, so there, much better now. Here I pressed too much. It was looking a little thinner on one side, and I know why, because I didn't fold along the correct line. There you go, now I see it. So when you press, your fabric shouldn't be overlapping. It should be like the raw edge butting into the raw edge. It shouldn't be overlapping. If it overlaps, that means you've pressed too much. Okay, so this is my bottom one, because it's a little shorter, see? This is my top one. It's a smidge taller. So now I'll take one of the sleeves. Okay, and now I'm ready to remove the backing of the double-sided tape. You don't have to remove it all if you're not comfortable. You can just go little by little and remove as you go. So see, just a little bit here, and make sure you grab the long one for the top, and I'm just placing it on top. And there you go, following those lines. Gorgeous. And see, now it's straight, it's stuck, no issues whatsoever, no pins. Okay, and now the little one. And I'm following the line of the double-sided tape because I know that was straight from the projector line. There you go, it is done. Let's do the same thing for the other sleeve. I'm going to do it on camera still, just in case anybody wants to see it again. If not, you can just fast forward. While I'm at the table, I'll also show you how I add HTV in just a little bit. And then we're going to go stitch this in place, like the ones we're doing right now. See how easy it is when you use double-sided tape? Huge supporter. For bag making, for clothing, I prefer the non-soluble double-sided tape for bag making, but for garments such as this one, I love the double-sided tape that's water soluble, because with the first wash, this will just disappear. I won't have to worry about either one of these. As soon as water hits it, it will disappear. And it doesn't gum up my needle, which is a big plus. Okay. One done. Let's do the second one. This to me is the easiest way to add these strips. Besides the HTV ones that I'm about to show you how to do. Oh, and there's another easy way. If you have a possibility to do sublimation, you can just print your strips on the fabric you're using. But sublimation is a whole different ball game. So you need different fabric, different stuff for it. So not something that I would invest just to do these strips. But if you do have them, I would definitely just print them on the sleeve itself. on the fabric. Whereas with HTV, you don't need any special machines. If you don't have a Cricut or a Silhouette, you don't need one. I'll show you how to do the HTV with just a sheet of HTV. Okay, so these are done. Let's grab the sleeve that still has the make sure I get that right. Okay, so that's the top. The sleeve that still has the backing on the double-sided tape. Okay, and remove that. So once the top one is removed, let's place the strip like so. Make sure that it follows the line. Okay, see, I went a little off the line. I could see it at the top. You should not be seeing any of your water soluble. If you're seeing it on either side, that means you have not placed your strip straight. Okay, there you go. And now the bottom. And this, you can sew them with your sewing machine or cover stitch. I think I'm going to go with the cover stitch, just because it's easier for me. If you sew them with your sewing machine, make sure that you use a stretch stitch or a zigzag stitch. Look, I stretched it a little bit. You don't want to stretch this, okay? Because you don't want the fabric to pucker. You want to just lay it down softly. You don't want to stretch it. And there you go, much better. Okay, you shouldn't have any excess. If you have any excess, you might have stretched it, and you don't want that. Okay, perfect. So your two sleeves are done. They have to go, we are gonna go sew them, but before we do that, let me show you the HTV option that I created as a hack. It's not an option in the pattern. So when I cut my sleeves, I did a couple of little notches here for the placement on both sides of the sleeve. So I know where the HTV goes. So we're going to work on the front. I have my, when I cut my HTV, this is what I wanted to show you. I cut just on the inside strip. I did not cut on the outside, because the outside is for the hem. See, remember we folded, so there is no raw edge, so you're hemming it. You don't need to do that if you cut HTV. So I used the pattern and cut my HTV with the rotary cutter, simply with no cutting machine. So you don't need a Cricut or anything like that. And I cut mine just on the inside. So right now, my strips of HTV are basically as wide as this. See? And they will fit perfectly on the sleeve. Because it's HTV, you don't need to fold anything. So don't cut the whole width of the strip. So right now, I'm going to place it like so. But I will place it like this in my heat press. If you don't have a heat press, no worries. You don't have to, you can do all of this with just your iron. But since I do have one, I just prefer to place it on the to use the heat press. So I'll go ahead and give it a good heat press, and I'll show you how it looks like in just a second. If you're doing this with your iron, just give it a good press and have something hard underneath, not something soft. Okay, I finished pressing the stretch HTV on them. Look how pretty. Absolutely easy and simple. Now we don't have to sew anything, and because it's stretch HTV, it's gonna perform very well when worn. And this is it for this sleeve. So let's go ahead and move to the cover stitch. We're gonna stitch down the accent on the sleeve, and then we'll be sewing the sleeves to the bodice. Let's stitch the strip accent to the sleeve. I like to do one row of covered stitching on the top and one row on the bottom for each. So you're going to be sewing 4 total. I like to keep my left needle my right needle as close to the edge as possible when I sew the top part. And then when I sew the inside part, I keep my left needle as close to the edge as possible. You see, there's zero gumming up with the double-sided tape that I used. Let's repeat the same step for the other. And I did try this with 2 needles on my cover stitch, but the wider one, and it didn't look good. So make sure that if you do use your cover stitch, use the 2 needle option if you have the option for 3, but use the narrow one, not the wide one. At least for smaller sizes, it wasn't nice. I didn't like it. So this is what it looks like stitch from the outside. And this is what it looks like from the inside. How cool is it? I think doing this, a reverse stitch, would look very cute also. Because this looks really nice. And see how equally spaced and straight all the lines are? All because we've used double-sided tape. I am a huge supporter of that step. I'm doing the same thing but on the other sleeve. For the sleeve that has HTV, there's no sewing needed. Excuse me. Alright, so these are done. Both sleeves are stitched. Before we attach them to the bodice, go ahead and if you're doing a hem option, not the cuff, go ahead to your sewing machine and do a memory hem for the lower part of the sleeve. So basically press the edge. You have that little notch there that shows you where to press. 1/2 inch for your hem, because this will help you when you go hem on the last day or tomorrow, I don't remember when we do that, or we do it today. I have to check the pattern. But yeah, definitely press a memory hem. Now that the memory hem is pressed, grab the bodice and place your sleeves right sides together around the arm opening, making sure that you match the shoulder notch with, oh, this is the front, so this is the wrong one. Make sure that you go and you place them front sleeve toward the front bodice and the shoulder seam to the notch. Okay. I like to pin at the sleeve, beginning and end, and at the shoulder, and sometimes I add 1 or 2 clips along the curve, but I don't always do that. It based on the level of comfort you have to sew a set-in sleeve. It's up to you. Okay. So we'll run it through the serger with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. This is the finished steps for today for the V-neck option. So you see, the sleeves are set in, your memory hem is already done, so snap a picture of your progress for photo check-in. For my other one, I did not press a memory hem because I plan on adding cuffs to this one, and we're going to add the set-in sleeves just the same way. I have my notch, or I should have my notch here, and I do. Okay, and I know this one with the other notch is the front, so I'm going to make sure that the sleeves match the shirt. So this is my front where you have the hood opening, and I'm going to match my shoulder seams and the front and the back. These are turning out so cute. The pattern follows a 1/2 inch seam allowance, so you will see that the serger cuts the excess off. If you're doing this on a sewing machine, use a stretch stitch. But you know that already. Sleeve is added. I had yellow HTV, but it wasn't long enough, so because I wanted to do like 2 yellow strips. I didn't have any red, I knew that from the beginning, and the other 2 colors that I had, one was silver, and I figured silver won't pop, so I said let's go green. Green will definitely pop, because that was the other option that I had for stretch HTV. HTV is heat transfer vinyl. For anyone who's looking at me like I'm crazy, that's what it means, heat transfer vinyl. And if you don't have a Cricut machine or a Silhouette, you cut it by hand. I actually have one and I still cut it by hand because it was way easier than to put the measurements in my machine in the software. No, with my projector I just cut the HTV. Just make sure when you do cut it that you place it with the green, in my case, the color part on the bottom, and the backing at the top when you cut it, because you need that to be able to adhere it. You need it to be like that. And then I did put it on with the heat press, but if you don't have one, you can just use your iron. On your highest settings, use a cloth, press cloth, if you're using fabric that you're not sure how it will react to a very hot iron, and press very hard. And I recommend you add like a piece of tile or something hard under it, because if you press it on the ironing board, that one has like a foamy thing, and you don't want that when you add HTV. You want the surface to be hard. That's what I used to do before having a heat press. I had like a big tile that I put under my cloth and then press it, and this way it's hard, the surface. And see, you can work with HTV without, and adding the strips without having all the gadgets. And for this size, which is a size 12, a sheet of 12-inch width of HTV was fine. It fit. Okay, so this is what it looks like with the long sleeves. This will be cuffed later on, and with the hood and the green pop of color. Alright, so this is it for today. I'll see you back here tomorrow when we'll be sewing the side seams and hemming the bottom. Talk to you soon. Bye.